Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of our program. Yes, here we are together again on the radio. He asked me today if Katie Holmes is really going to marry Tom Cruise. I told him the information is actually available. You just have to check page 188. Dianetic humor there. Actually, we don't know if Katie Holmes is going to marry Tom Cruise yet. She still has to take that personality test over there in Hollywood Boulevard. Part of the hasn't done that yet. Thank you for tuning in. In this hour of the program, I, as you know, am the object of many sycophants. People who thank me for changing their lives, turning their lives around, restoring their balls. I get a lot of calls like that and a lot of feedback like that in the street from people. And it is very richly rewarding. But, of course, somewhat deceiving to me because I generally only hear from the people who thank me for my work. People who appreciate what they say I have done. People whose lives have been improved by things I've said and done on this program. The dissatisfied, the disaffected, the angry, the bitter. We don't hear from them as often. Some of them just tune out. Some of them continue to listen in amazement as I continue with my agenda here, talking about the things I believe wholeheartedly in. And although we have devoted hours on the program to people who hate me, I'm not going to do that this hour. Because there's a much larger audience of people who don't want to take the energy to hate me. In fact, they may be perplexed or just simply have more complex feelings about me and what I stand for. Some of you have been victims of my advice. Husbands or boyfriends have left you. You've gotten dumped. You were turned into a mere booty call. Somebody showed you an ATM receipt and you believed they were rich and you went and had sex with them, whatever. There are many of my victims out there. And while you don't hate me, you definitely believe that some of the things I say are just wrong. Talking to the haters is fun, and we certainly give them their share of airtime. But in this hour, I'm not necessarily looking for people who hate me. In this hour, I want to talk to you if you think that things I say on the air, specific things I tell the callers, or specific things that I say when I'm speaking, just as I'm speaking to you now, are just wrong. They're wrong. I'm not talking about factual errors, by the way. So, if I once gave a method for getting rid of red ants and it turned out to not be effective, that boric acid is only for getting rid of cockroaches but not red ants, don't call about that stuff, okay? Minor trip-ups or factual errors, send those by email and we'll acknowledge the major ones. Who David Beckham plays for. I don't need to hear that. Don't need to hear that. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm talking about theorems that have been expressed on this program, advice that is given, homilies. You know what I'm talking about. Every day on this program, I tell people what to do about their relationships, how to avoid relationships. I tell people that your girlfriend or your wife's best friend will never be your friend. Things like that. There may be things I've said here that you think are just dead wrong. In fact, destructive. So when we talk to the haters, we're talking to the extremists out there. And, of course, that makes for very, very entertaining radio to talk to them. And we'll continue doing that. But in this hour, I want to talk to people who don't even want to take the energy hating me. Or maybe they just think I'm misguided. They don't get angry enough to hate me over that. They just simply think that things I say, things I believe, things I express on this program every day are just plain wrong. If you think there are things I say on the air that is just wrong to say them, you wholeheartedly disagree. You think somehow the advice I give or the things I say are destructive or dangerous. You're the person I want to talk to.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
If you had sex with me because I said I was a doctor, by the time you find out I'm not a doctor, guess what? I had sex with you. I got what I wanted. Next victim.
The Tom Leykis.
Oh, yeah. It's the Tom Leykis Show. At 1-800-5800-TOM. All right. There are things I say on the air that you think are just plain wrong. What are those things? Linda, on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Hi. I do not dislike you. I think you're a cool guy. But a couple of weeks ago, I was changing the radio stations, and all of a sudden, I happened upon something. I didn't even realize it was your show. And all of a sudden, I heard some guy giving what I thought was like the worst advice I had ever heard. It had something to do with your male 101, your something that you tell men about how to start relationships or get sex or something.
What advice was that?
Okay, so I'm listening, and I hear you telling something about that you should, like if you go out on a first date, this whole thing about there's all these little rules, like you should never spend more than $20 on the first
$40,
date.
actually.
Okay, $40, and you should never do this and that. And everything that you said, I thought, oh, my God, because every time I talk to one of my girlfriends, you know, I've got a lot of single friends, and they meet guys, and there'll be guys that, you know, end up, they're great guys, and there are guys that are just what we consider just losers, and just, you can't even believe, oh, my God, I can't believe I ever went out with him. So one of my girlfriends had gone out with a guy, and she met him. She really liked the guy. She thought he was a nice guy, and on her first date, you know, she didn't decide that she would or wouldn't have sex with him. The way that most of my girlfriends look at it is if we go out with a guy, we just kind of let things go and see how we feel. If you really like the guy, you know, it doesn't, you know, you might have sex the first date, you might not. But if the guy is just really seems like somebody you'd never want to see again, you wouldn't. So she went out with this guy. She thought he was a great guy. She called me after the date, and she said, oh, my God, it was a nightmare. She said, first of all, he takes me to this place, some little Italian place. They didn't even have, like, beer or wine. He had brought his own bottle, and you know that $2 Chuck that you can buy, you know, the $2 bottle?
Good thinking.
Yeah. Well, I guess he thought so, but she told me that, she says, okay, she said, he comes and picks me up. We go to this place. There was just, you know, a few things on the menu. There was nothing that she really liked, but she picked something out. He pulls out this bottle of $2 wine, and afterwards, he just started talking to her about, well, do you want to come to my place, or do you want to, you know, or we'll go to yours? And she said to me, you know what, he was so, and you know what, we call these guys, we call them cheese, sleaze, and geese. Geese, if they're older guys that think, who are they? You know, they're like, you know.
Oh, darling, let me be really frank with you. I see on the screen your age is 45. The guys we're talking to don't date women your age.
All right, well, actually, the girlfriends that I'm talking about, I'm married, but the girlfriends that I have a lot of friends because of my work that are all in late 20s to late 30s, and most of them are probably, like this girl that I'm talking about is 32. She's very cute, blonde, blue eyes. She doesn't even look her age.
These guys, I advise, are not looking for relationships. They're looking for sex.
Right, but see, she really liked him. What I'm saying is that he would have very likely gotten sex from her.
His mistake was having dinner with her at all.
But when she called me and she said, oh, my God, she said this guy was a nightmare.
Yeah, he should have avoided that altogether and hooked up for a drink after she had dinner. then she couldn't critique his choice of restaurant.
Okay.
And that's something I advise guys to do all the time.
So that you don't know that they're really being really cheap. And see, it's not, she wasn't looking
No, more to say, not even for that reason. It's so that the guy can save money. Why should a guy spend all this money on a restaurant?
Well, that's true, except this guy, whipping out a $2 bottle of wine, and then he expects, she was like...
You want to know something? Most women don't know the difference. Maybe your friend did. Maybe you would. But most women don't. I have served $2 chuck at my home. And by the way, when I have a wine cellar. What I have done in the past is I have opened, 10 bottles of wine at a party. 8 of them are $2 chuck. 2 of them are really good bottles. What do you think most people drink?
Probably the $2.
That's right.
Yeah.
They don't know the difference.
Well, it was just that when I heard you saying this is a way to, like you were
spend
talking
as
about
little
ways
as
to get
possible.
women into bed.
Yeah.
Well, I can see spending, not spending a lot of money, but you were saying all these things that...
What
and
things?
Unfortunately, it was a couple of weeks ago, and
you're calling up to tell me what's wrong, and I'm giving you my ear. I'm listening. Okay, tell me, and you don't even know what they are.
Well, I remember that about the money, but it was just a lot of things that had to do with getting a girl into bed are a lot of the things that my friends, that's the, that would be the turnoff where the guy would never get him into bed.
Well, again, I do also believe that people tend to have friends who are like themselves. You have heard on this program countless men call in here and thank me and say that they're getting more ass than a toilet seat now because they have done what I've recommended to them. And generally speaking, spending as little money on a woman as possible is very effective.
Well, I understand.
In fact, this is based on the guys I know who do the exact opposite. This all started with one guy who used to work on our show who used to spend lots of money on women. To spend it on nice restaurants, on a bottle of champagne, even occasionally renting a limousine. And he would say, I can't figure out why I'm not getting anywhere. And I told him, it's because you're spending money on women. Stop doing it. And the guys who take my advice, they start getting sex, which they weren't getting before.
Well, they're getting sex maybe, but...
That's what they want.
And so these are guys that want sex and they really don't want a girlfriend or they don't want...
Correct. In fact, I tell them not to have a girlfriend. Not to get married. And what's in it for guys?
I suppose your advice, I guess, it makes sense.
Linda, you've been reading the newspaper since you've come to California from the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what divorce is like in California?
Oh, I know.
What's in it for a guy to get married here?
Well, I guess if you're at the age where you want to have a family, I think that I've always said, marriage, personally, my opinion has always been really, you don't need to get married unless you do, I don't think people need to pair up, 2 by 2. I don't think you need another half. But I do think that if you really want that family thing, that it's probably a better idea to have the dad and the mom and the family unit.
That should start no earlier than at 25 minimum, and I would say not until you are well settled into your great career. Not while you're in college, not while you're in high school, not while you're working your way up as a lawyer or a doctor or as an architect. Once you've reached the pinnacle of your success, you get the hottest, youngest chicks available. And you do not do this any sooner than that. Now, come on, you can say, ooh, that's evil to say that, but you can't say it's wrong.
No, you have a point. So you're saying that the guys that you're telling about having sex and not having a relationship would be guys that are maybe under 30.
Our audience is men 20 to 44 years old. That's our audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, especially in states like California and Washington State, there is nothing to be gained by a guy getting married or moving in with a woman. Have sex, have fun, experiment, have threesomes, do whatever you want. Just don't have any financial transactions with women.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't do it. Women are so independent, they don't need us. That's great. I'm glad to hear it, because our boys don't pay for anything. Women love to say they don't need men. You know, I'm the original feminist. I think that's great, because our men aren't giving women anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess actually you do have a point, and I guess if I were a guy, I would probably be very happy to have gotten your advice.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, dear.
All right. Well, thanks for letting me give you my opinion.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate the call. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. And we're letting you call in if there's advice I've given or things I say that you think are just plain wrong. Marilyn, hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, I get the greatest entertainment from your show.
Good.
Yeah, it's when I'm driving around, because actually instead of getting mad, I just take it with a grain of salt and I laugh. But there is one thing I would like to correct you on.
What's that?
Okay. The whole thing is when you get off on the women that go 100% on the birth control, if you feel that strong about not wanting to have a child, go get the snip. And when
most of my guys don't want to have a kid today.
Well,
that doesn't mean that when they're 35, they're not going to want to do that.
Right on, and that's great. So let them go get the snip so that they don't get the paternity test scream terrors later on. And then when they decide, yes, now I do want to have children, just go back and research.
Dear, only 60% of vasectomies are reversible. The other 40% are not.
Well,
on top of that, dear, on top of that, most doctors will not perform a vasectomy on a guy who has never been married and doesn't have any children.
Just like they won't tie the tubes of a woman that's 26, right? Because
done.
Say,
that's
you
right.
Want 'em.
So it's really not a valid option for most guys.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it would be then for the ones that definitely never, ever want to have children.
Even then, it's hard finding a doctor who will do that.
Right on. I just thought there might be a simple way for guys to just kind of...
And nothing simple about having surgery. The simple way is to use condoms all the time.
Right
and also to tell women, look, if you ever got pregnant, I need to know. Do you have any doubt about what you would do? And if they have any doubt, to get out of there.
Oh, also tell guys to watch out for women because they can have cold sores in their mouths and you not know it.
Dear, I'm not, you know what, I'm not a sex education teacher here.
Oh, well,
okay?
you know, but that's just...
I'll tell you what, call Dr. Dean Adele or some show like that. I really don't get involved in that, all right?
Right on, Tom.
My guys just want to get laid. They don't want to hear how sausage is made or unmade, for that matter. You know what I'm talking about? 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Let's say hello here to Ron on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Ron.
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
Just wanted to clarify. I definitely don't hate you. I actually listen to you a lot, and I find it really entertaining.
Good.
I just wanted to share that when my parents were fairly young in dating before they were married, my mom wasn't exactly the nicest woman in the world to my father. She definitely made her share of, mistakes and stuff and treated him kind of bad. My dad's kind of a passive guy. And, she crossed a lot of lines that, you often tell your listeners, the second this chick does this, cut her off immediately, But then after they got married, she sort of settled down and calmed down and has just become a real wonderful person and a role model in my life. And it's just, that's fine. I'm sure that happens all the time. But I just keep thinking that, if my father would have, taken the other route earlier on, and just said, look, you're not a good woman to me and this and that, and thrown to the curb, this marriage would never happen, this family would never happen, I wouldn't be around.
So far, you spent a minute and 10 seconds telling me that my advice is right.
I don't know that it is.
If your father had followed my advice, he'd have been a lot better off.
How's that?
Because when somebody treats you like that, you dump that bitch.
Right. But we have a wonderful family now, so how do you? I don't understand how.
Well, if he was being mistreated, maybe it's wonderful for you, but what about for your father?
Well, he's happy now. We have open discussions about it.
He's happy now? Yeah. How many years did he waste being miserable?
I don't think he wasted a lot of years being miserable.
Not a lot of years, just a few years?
Yeah, just probably in the beginning. Once they got
you think guys are better off just tolerating crap from women?
No, I'm not saying that. That's just my specific case. I just wanted to share with you. I just felt it just occurred. Yeah, I don't know. It just occurred to me when I heard you this morning say, something you said was wrong. I just figure if my dad would have listened, taken your advice, I wouldn't be here. My family wouldn't be around.
Well, you know what? I think people should think twice before they treat other people like crap.
I think so too. I don't agree with what she said. I don't agree with what she did. But it's just, I don't know. I guess.
I tell you what, I would have been out of there.
Yeah, no, I know. And you know what? I probably would have too if my parents wouldn't have sat me down and told me how they were, earlier on. And now it's like, I don't know. I guess I kind of think twice about giving people a second chance, And
you got one life. You know what? You've only got so many years to waste. That's how I see it.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
My wife is trying to egg me into buying her some leather pants.
She wants other men to look at her ass the way you do.
Right.
Why would you want to make it easier for them to enjoy your wife's ass?
Exactly. I should buy her a damn moo-moo.
The Tom Leykis Show.
1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. And we're giving you the opportunity to call in and tell us things I say that you consider to be wrong. Tony on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
I'm a big fan of the show, and I do have to take issue with one thing that you say on a regular basis, which is the fact that I've heard you on more than many occasions call men who support women with children pussies.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, which I'd like you to see it this way. I know you're open to different points of view. So I got a friend who just got with a girl. He's been going out with her for 2 years. She has 2 kids from a previous. He has none. And you know what? I think he's doing the right thing. He loves this girl. He's banged his fair share of wool from here to Mississippi.
But now he's paying for somebody else's leftovers.
Well, but the thing is, he loves this girl. He loves the kids. And you know what? He is injecting some testosterone in their sacks. So they're not going to grow up, via single mom. These kids are...
How old are these kids?
What's that?
How old are these kids?
8? I don't think beyond 3rd grade, like 8 and 3 or something like that.
How old is this woman?
She is 34, 35.
And your friend is how old?
And he's 27.
27? I mean, she's also way older than he is.
Well, and that's the thing. She's not really, and that's,
She's not now, but when he's 33 and she's 40, the difference is going to be a lot more obvious.
Well, she's not, I will say this, she's not beaten down and ragged out like a lot of 35-year-old women are.
Yet.
Well, either way, I don't think that he is necessarily a pussy. I think I got to hand it to him. He knew full well what he was getting into. He's digging what he's doing, and I don't think he's a pussy. I mean, I would not necessarily personally ever pick up another man's trash or support something, some children that weren't mine.
Why would I want to pay for some other man's responsibility?
Exactly. Well, this is something that he's choosing to do. He makes a good...
I know he's chosen to do it, but why would anyone choose to do it?
Well, my issue is this. He's chosen to do it, and I don't think he's a pussy.
Well, he's a pussy. He could be your friend, but you could have a friend who's a pussy. He's a pussy. He's a pussy. You know what? He could look. I don't even think he should have sex with a single mother, but he could just hit it. He does not have to actually pay.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, me and him have done our damage on both coasts, and for some reason he digs this one, and I'm going to...
Because he's a pussy.
What's that?
Because he's a pussy. And when he's 32 and she's 40, it's going to become really, really obvious.
You are still sticking him with that pussy. I don't know, man.
Because he is a pussy.
I tell you.
Let the father of those children maintain his responsibilities.
Well, the thing is, you know what? They're going to grow up with a father figure. He is...
not a father. He'll never be their father. Never.
Well, at least, how about this? Someone in the formative years who's going to give him a backbone. How about that?
Well, even that's not a guarantee, because he doesn't have a backbone himself.
Now, how can you say that?
Because he's paying for some other man's kids.
Jesus. Well,
do I really want him giving kids advice on what to do with their lives? Come on.
Well, you know what? I don't know what the deal is with the other father, but I'm just saying, I don't think necessarily because a guy picks up where another man left off necessarily constitutes him being a pussy.
Well, again, was this woman married before?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
and she was married for 5 years, and I think.
And she has a kid who's 8.
And yeah, that's what I mean. And separated or divorced for 3. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we have a difference of opinion, but I thank you for expressing it. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. These are the things you think I'm wrong about. Tina.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tina.
Hey, listened to you for a long time.
Good.
Love the show, guys.
Keep it going.
Yeah. When women get older, you underestimate their ability to pleasure the young guys out there.
I've always told young guys that since women their own age won't talk to them, to use older women as a crutch until they are successful in their chosen field, and then they can get younger chicks.
I've never lied about my age, and I've really never dated anybody for any length of time that was over 30.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great.
I understand, but none of them will ever marry you, dear, and as long as you know they're using you and you're using them, it's fine.
Who wants to get married,
Well, that's my point. You're using them, they're using you.
Yeah, excellent.
No, I've told guys to do that.
Yeah. Okay, well,
I've recommended it. But I don't recommend. I certainly it wouldn't be my choice if I wanted to have a relationship or get married.
No,
dear. No.
Yeah. Oh dear.
No. Sorry, dear. You know what? You're 50. At least that's what you claim. You might be more than that.
No. I'm not.
Yeah. Well, again, dear. You may have been hot in your day.
Yeah. No, I'm hot now.
No, says you. How about you send
about my age.
How about you send a picture in here and we'll be the judge of that?
I could do that.
Yeah, why don't you?
No problem.
You never will, but...
All I'm saying is that, hey...
50-year-old women don't know how to use email.
Guys,
what?
The older women are all settled. They know what they want.
We don't care what you want. That's the point. You see, any guy who's worth his salt doesn't care what the woman wants.
Oh, yeah.
What do we care what you want?
No. I'm just saying we know what we want, and we know how to take care of them.
Well, again, as long as we close our eyes and don't look at the bags and the sags and the veins, the spider veins, the varicose veins, the stretch marks, as long as we don't look, we'll be fine.
No stretch mark.
Please.
No stretch mark.
There, I've seen 50-year-old women naked, and I'm telling you, it's not pretty.
Well, you haven't seen this one.
Well, I'll tell you what, you come down and show it next time I'm in town.
You bet.
I'll believe it when I see it. Now, hang on. Dee's going to tell you how to send us a picture.
All righty.
Do you have any nude pictures?
What's that?
Do you have a naked picture?
I don't know if I'd want to send my whole naked. I could send a nice little bikini shot.
All right, send a bikini shot.
I'm not into,
Send that in. Yeah, go ahead and send that in.
Myself. Yeah, all right. You give me an address.
Now, hold on. Dee's going to give it to you. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's Marina in Covina on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello?
Is that a question or a statement?
I have a question. Okay, you're always talking about, men being pussies about, them taking care of women's kids.
Right.
I want to know how you feel about women taking care of men's kids.
I'll put it this way. I can understand why a woman wouldn't want to do that. And I would certainly say that if a man has saddled you with that responsibility, you're going to be stuck with the baggage of the ex-girlfriend or ex-wife. You're stuck with the baggage of the kid himself.
Well, they're planning on moving in probably within the next year or so.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have them move in.
Is that what you want?
Well, right now, seriously, no, not right now. I'm not ready.
Well, what makes you think you're going to feel any differently in a year?
Maybe.
Maybe. You don't even know. So you've already made the plan without even knowing if it's something you want.
Well, I knew what I was getting myself into when I got with him. I'm just curious to know, it's just, right now I don't want them to move in right now because I'm not ready, and he knows.
Oh, well, what are you going to do? You got to buy a playpen or something? What are you talking about? You're not ready. Why will you be more ready in a year?
I'm only 22 right now.
Well, so when you're 23, what makes you think you'll be ready?
I don't know. Maybe because I'll be more settled with him, and
oh, Jesus.
That's how I'm thinking. Maybe.
Darling, you're so immature. And by the way, how old is he?
He's 32.
32. And how many children does he have?
He has 2.
And you want him to move in with his children in about a year?
I live with him already.
And so why will the kids be coming in a year? Where are they now?
Well, they're with their mom right now, but they want to move in with him.
And how old are these children?
One's 8. No, one's 9 and one's 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And you just want to be a parent.
Right now, no. But
but in a year you'll want to be a parent to somebody else's children.
I really don't want to be
somebody who's somebody else's children, somebody who'll be calling your house all the time, demanding to speak to the kids, treating you like some bitch. Huh?
She doesn't say that.
She hasn't said it yet. Her kids don't live with you yet.
No, but I don't think... I mean, they're over here every other weekend, and we always take them places and do things with them.
Yeah, how much do you love that, Marina? Tell us.
I love it. I love being around them. They're really good kids.
So you want them living in your house?
Well, when they're there, they're really good kids.
You want them living... Dear, people come visit me all the time. I can't possibly imagine what it would be like for them to be with me 7 days a week.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of...
This is 24/7, darling. This is all day, all night, every single day.
Yeah.
The days you want to go out at night. The days you want to go on vacation. The days you just want to stay in bed and have sex all day. 24 hours a day. And you really think you're mature enough to know what that means? I don't think you are.
I don't know. I'm not ready. I'm not mature.
But dear, you're 22. In a year you'll be 23. You will still not be ready.
Yeah, that's true. You're right about that.
Whose kid is that?
Oh, that kid is my girlfriend's kid. We just picked her up from her grandma's house. Carpooling. Well, I'm carpooling today.
You're carpooling. Okay.
Yeah, I carpool with a coworker.
Now, you are using birth control, aren't you, sweetheart?
Yes, I am using birth control.
So you're not planning on doing anything ridiculous yourself, are you?
No, not at all. I don't want any kids till I'm 27 of my own.
All right. Okay. All right, dear. Well, it's been a peach of a time. Thank you. It's the Tom Leykis Show. Randy, hello.
Hey, Tom. What's up, man?
Not much.
Hey, first off, I got to let you know that, I really enjoy the show. A lot of the advice you give me, I put it to work in my life, very positive effect in my life. A lot of good things happening with it. There's one thing that I'm kind of confused about, or maybe I need some more information from you. It has to do with the kids. Because I've been married for 7 years, and I got a 4-year-old boy. And I'm telling you, man, my son, he gives me a lot of joy in my life. It's cool having a kid. And
no one's told anybody don't have kids.
Okay.
I like kids. I just don't happen to want to have any. But what I say to guys is don't have kids with somebody you're just having sex with. Don't have kids before the age of 25 at least. I would say 30, 35 is more like it.
Well, actually, I was 33 at the time.
No, there you go.
Yeah, I was 33, and, it's... Well, I'll tell you what, though,
just because I don't want to have kids doesn't mean I don't think other people should.
I definitely, like what you're saying. I'm definitely going to Boys Night Out, you bet.
Good.
I'll be there.
Glad to hear it. I'm out of time for this hour, Randy. I appreciate the call. Our email address is tom@blowmeuptom.com.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.